At this point, by the end of this year, we'll have a deficit of about $14 million in the city budget.
We're also doing a housing bond that I think is the most important measure that we need on the ballot.
It would be devastating to not have the housing recovery bond be able to move forward.
As I sit here right now, I can't say that we are going to be able to support it.
It's not just that people don't have enough money to live in Santa Rosa. There aren't enough places to live in Santa Rosa for all the people who want to be here.
We lost 5,500 units in the fire. Before that, we were about a 1% vacancy rate, which is a crisis situation in housing.
Santa Rosa, 3,000 plus homes that need to be replaced, right? That's a lot of work. And it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of workers to complete a construction project in a residential single-family dwelling.
We lost, I think, 4 hotels, which is, I think, there was 432 rooms that we lost. I think there was 20 some odd businesses that were lost.
So they've lost a lot of property tax on 5% of the housing stock in Santa Rosa. Out of all the homes we had, 5% were gone in 48 or 72 hours.
Well, that starts adding up because that goes into the general fund to provide for all the different services.
At this point, by the end of this year, we'll have a deficit of about $14 million in the city budget.
What we're going to have to do to balance our books, that if we don't get an additional revenue stream, because we can't tighten our belts, in a very short period of time, we're going to be laying people off.
This is not something that we can fix by buying fewer pencils or something like that. So we're dealing with, positions that are left open right now at a time when everybody in this organization is working twice as hard as they were before the fires.
We've put a sales tax on the November ballot. It was a challenge for me because we're also doing a housing bond that I think is the most important measure that we need on the ballot.
People are getting a little tired of government in general wanting more taxes, more bonds, more parcel property taxes.
It's a difficult science, but at what point do the voters say that's too much?
So the city of Santa Rosa has just decided to put a housing bond on the ballot for November, and the idea with that is to raise $124 million over 5 years.
And what we plan to do is to leverage that money to attract more money for investing in affordable housing here.
Call it opportunity cost. I like that phrase. It's not that we'll lose anything that's here. It's just we lose the opportunity to leverage more money from a state level or feds or wherever there might be leverageable help.
It was just that issue about labor. If it's not in there, we're not going to support it. If it's in there, we're going to fight it.
So there was a tug of war over this bond, and the one issue that we didn't come to agreement on during all that time was the amount of union labor, or if any union labor would be required on projects that were financed by this bond money.
I wanted what is going to get the most houses built, right? And I'm not a big proponent of any special interest carve-out, whether it be labor or anyone else.
We were prepared to oppose the measure if any carve-out was done for any group.
There was a small segment of the business community that walked into the negotiations with a terrorist vest on and said, if you agree to those labor terms, I'm pushing the button.
The business and building community was pretty adamant that nothing should be in the bond. The labor community wanted something out of it.
We want to be part of that solution, but we want to do it in a just and equitable way. We're always going to stand up and fight for workers to make sure that they have enough money to live in the homes that they're building. I mean, bottom line, if you're building these things and you can't afford to live in it, then there's something wrong with that model.
I don't care if they had said all contractors need to belong to the Builders Exchange, I'd still say that's wrong.
They wanted a clean housing bond with no strings attached. And basically what that means to me is they wanted supply side trickle down economy and say, trust us, give us the money, we'll build the housing, we'll do the right thing. Well, history has proven to me that supply side trickle down economics don't work well for workers.
3 council members supported adding union protections or requirements into the bond, and 3 council members voted no. A tie vote is a failure, so that motion failed. And my side failed on that. I still voted for the bond because it's going to be good for this community.
It would be devastating to not have the housing recovery bond be able to move forward.
The truth is we're getting close to the 11th hour. You know, we again wanted to be part of that solution and part of advancing a housing bond. But as I sit here right now, I can't say that we are going to be able to support it. These contractors have lowered the wages so far that they've just crushed the workers in the dust. Do workers who are going to be affected by the construction projects that might be created by a bond measure, do they benefit equally from the money, from these jobs?
The unions will play a vital role in the rebuilding of our community and in the bond measure. So I hope they're on board like everyone else.
And I'd be very disappointed if labor came out against it, because the housing that's going to be supplied is for up to 80% of the average median income. These are the folks that need it most.
I believe it's going to be difficult to pass even if everybody was on board.
The only way we're going to get out of our homeless and housing crisis is to build more units.
And if we don't get more housing built, it's like nothing's going to change.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.